Alright, so today is Thursday, Thursday, October 22nd, 2020. Last night, it just came to me, I don't know how I forgot, I usually don't forget, I don't know what the hell came over me, but yesterday, I was sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden I just realized that, oh, tomorrow's Thursday, I gotta have a video out tomorrow. And I kind of ran out of time to do, the camcorder video, the Hitachi VHS camcorder video has been delayed. The camcorder all of a sudden just went on me for some reason. I bought one of those, I think it's called the G4 light bulb replacement. It was like a replacement bulb. They're for those little desk lamps, but they're also for the camera, same bulb that the camera flash takes on the Hitachi 2800A VHS camcorder. And I put it in, I turned it on, and it just somehow blew the camera. I'm gonna do something quick and easy here. I just thought I'd wing it with this. First thing that was easy, first thing that came to the top of my mind was, that was quick and easy to do a video on, was I had this downstairs. I brought it up, I cleaned off the desk up here, put it on here. I believe it's from 1961 or 1963. I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. I think it's 1961. Magnavox Grand Classic Full Dimension High Fidelity AM/FM tube radio. And so this is just going to be a quick little demonstration kind of show and tell type thing, because I don't really have time to do anything else. It'll be a real quick video. There's FM, there's 90.1 FM. Gotta be careful on FM because of all the copyright music. So, again, it's one of those radios that has the on-off button is the tone adjustment. And a lot of these older radios seem to have that switch button that's part of the tone control rather than the volume. It would make more sense for it to be a part of the volume than the tone, because every time you turn it on, you got to readjust where you want the tone, if you want more bass or more treble. So that's treble all the way up. There's bass.
From Childish Gambino, which
I always keep it in the middle, so you get an even distribution of bass and treble.
With Sharon. Could have a couple of distant cousins on our hands here. This one's called Redbone.
Turn it down so I don't get copyrighted. You can hear it sounds pretty great, actually. Sound quality is pretty rocking. Their mumble rap.
I let it go back to when we played as kids, but things changed, and that's the way it is.
Security forces opened fire on a group of protesters.
CBC News 93.9 or CBC Radio 1. It's about 5 o'clock now, so it's a 5 o'clock news on CBC locally. So AM, am I on AM or am I on? Oh, I am on AM. There's a lot of noise right now because the television is on in the other room, so of course you'll get a lot of the 60 hertz hum noise. I gotta get one of those TVs that is like, what do they call it, like interference friendly, or it's like an interference friendly type TV or something like that. There's a certain name for it and I can't remember, but I gotta get one of those. Reduce the noise that I get on AM. I mean, it's horrendous. There's
At the end of the regular season before COVID hit, the Oilers were firing pretty much on all cylinders. I think we had solid goaltending and
so there's 1260 AM TSN radio, and the that you're hearing is the TV in the other room.
And the biggest thing of NHL goalies is me.
So to meet that full match, that means the effect of your gift is double when you give right now. So
9:30 the light.
Sir of Health Dr. Dina Hinshaw says
880 iNews 880, or sorry, Global News Radio. Global News 880. It used to be iNews 880. It was rebranded by Global.
COVID-19 cases.
Just hit 840 CFCW. Country music used to be on 790 AM. Anyway, just get the point. So, great sound. There's a two options for FM. There's automatic frequency control or just FM. I guess you can hear the difference, I guess, for this particular demonstration. 96.3 FM is a good test subject for this. I think that's 98.5 country radio. I don't remember the name of the station, I just know it's always been country radio. Hear the difference there? I'll turn it up so you can hear it. So that's on AFC, automatic frequency control, FM. And everybody knows what that's for, you get the point of that. You get more stable, clear sounding reception with that. And so with that, you see how the radio works. It's great condition. It sounds great, as you can hear. I guess I'll flip it around now and I'll show you inside. It's a tube radio, like I said. So there you go. And you do got the little antenna connections. That's right, the AM antenna connected. So one's antenna, one's ground, of course, obviously. And the power cord just kind of pops out of these little two contacts, positive, negative. Or I guess it's polarized. Or I guess it's probably polarized, so it doesn't really matter. So there's the inside of it. There's you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tubes. There's this little tiny guy here. There's these there's two capacitors that look a little bit. So this is, you can tell that someone was in here before because these I'll take the camera off the tripod here so you can see what I'm talking about. First time I noticed this, I looked in here before, but I don't know why I never caught that right away. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Someone was in here before, and they put a couple new capacitors in. For some reason, they put electrical tape around it. I'm not sure what the point of that was. I know my shadow is blocking the light here. I guess I should go on this side. Yeah, I'm not sure what the electrical tape was for. Why? You can tell these were. See, they soldered these in at the bottom of the board, and then they wound it with they wound electrical tape around it for whatever reason. There's the AM bar. So there's an AM bar antenna. See, I guess you don't really need to have this, but I don't find the AM bar antennas all that sensitive, and it doesn't really work all that great. Well, I guess there's 7 tubes. I didn't realize there's one up there in the tuner. There's a tuner tube. There's the banana slicer. And there's the big driver here. And then you get the little tweebler over there. So that's the AMIF, and there's the AMIF coil down there. The only other thing that I can see that was as an indication that someone was in here and worked on this was just this. These two little capacitors with the electrical tape around them. Go ahead and turn this on here so you can see the tubes warm up. Shut the light off. Get the money shot here. Camera's not focusing. There you go.
Do not have one of those 12 series at the top of your blue cards. Please do not play the cards. So if you do have cards that are not valid to play this evening,
tonight is
call the bingo hotline. That's just going to tie the hotline up tonight. Take the cards back.
Trying to remember, this camera doesn't have very good low light sensitivity, so it's not picking up
the 3 horizontal line game, playing for a $200 payoff. So the 3 horizontal line game is comprised of the 3 lines.
Tonight is
across the middle and across.
I'm trying to remember, is it every night?
Once we have a winner on that
bingo
game,
night?
we'll carry on with our
94.9, or is it certain nights? I always thought it was just Saturday night bingo night.
Is G52
94.9 FM. Sorry, not 94.9 FM, 98.5. Country, local country radio station. Let me grab my phone and see if my phone usually has better low light sensitivity. you go, there's the money shot.
Coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small. But I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often.
That's KMZQ, the Right Talk radio out of Las Vegas. That's actually DX from where I am. But it comes in pretty good with regular, like just in the house, even with the TV on, creating in it a lot of noise. I got the debates on, so I'm getting a lot of noise. That's what that is. That noise you're hearing is the television in the living room.
He did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this is not going to be a problem. And we are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is interference. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, reported, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we find out in the New York Times the other day that in fact his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing, and a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're
the
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it. You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, John. I could raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that, like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Average contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat in just 2 minutes uninterrupted?
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. It's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty.
You know what, North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people love to say, having a good relationship with leaders of other countries is a good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get to.
That's like saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. Dave, the reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you. We're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you. That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it didn't happen.
Let's move on and talk about American
He left me a mess, Kristen.
President Trump, okay, we do need to move
left
on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in fact,
to
if
move on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can
first
get to all
2 or
of
3
our
months,
questions tonight.
there was a very dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a they left us a mess. And Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them is health care, as you both know. Today there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good.
Deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help. These guys will not help them. Is not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to immigration,
but
I want to get
we
your
have to help our
reaction.
small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
we have
recently.
to help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses. How are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said very recently you would consider.
What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say
it.
this. They
10
went down. We
seconds and then I
brought
need to-
reporters, everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some of them
They've gotten
haven't been
such good-
reunited
But
with
just
their
ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they're going to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River, and it's
Let's give Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You don't know
next
the law,
section.
Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
no, the law what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it out. They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move
But we don't have to worry about it. They terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
Yeah,
section.
fine.
Let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way Black and brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do. I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. What I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child, when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, just yes sir, no sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are in fact the victim, whether you're a person making $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is, there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Well, guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they kept never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception, and he's a corrupt politician. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician. Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen, I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President, you've described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. They can say anything. It makes me sad because I am.
Thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University. University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you.